A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Monday, February 28th. Government will be moving to clamp down on the unruly behavior of some public service vehicle operators. In response to a strong call from St. Thomas MP Cynthia Ford for authorities to bring order to the roads, Minister of Transport, Works and Water Resources Cynthia Bradshaw disclosed that her ministry was in the process of fine-tuning regulations to govern the public transport sector that was approved by Cabinet more than a year ago. She said the regulations would give the Transport Authority more teeth to address the challenges.
Immediately after the estimates, it is my intention to be able to bring those back with a view to giving some teeth to the Transport Authority so that the enforcement that is now necessary to take place, that they will now have that going forward. But the concerns are very real. I think the general public is very acutely aware of the issues on the roads. The regulations will speak to a number of the things which drivers are required to do, but it also places an onus on the owners of the vehicles who for a long time have been pretty much in the background and have in a sense been able to escape being identified or even having the permits taken away because of the errors being made by their drivers. And so the intention is to be able to start to clamp down to ensure that the drivers are properly trained. We've been in discussions with the Barbados Community College to ensure that the standards that are required, that those persons who are currently drivers will be able to participate in that program when it is rolled out. Also that persons who are new entrants as public service vehicle drivers, that those persons also will now have to undertake a course of training before they are unleashed into the public as well. And so that process has already started in terms of identifying the persons who are necessary to train the individuals, but also having those discussions with the stakeholders. And I would anticipate that very shortly we would be in a position to roll that out.
Meanwhile, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Transport and Work, Mark Cummins, says plans are afoot to address the current shortage of transport inspectors.
Only, week before, I saw the circular came out from the People Resourcing and Compliance Department asking for soliciting applications from persons who are interested in becoming a transport inspector. So hopefully we will have that complement bump back up to the 5 very shortly. But even with the 5 in place, and I want to focus on the Warrens area of which you spoke, because you're 100% correct. I've been observing that intersection. I've asked the chief licensing officer to send an inspector there. When the inspector is there, there is improvement. But as soon as the inspector moves, we go back to the chaos. You have vending there, you have coconut vending, you have regular vending, you have, as you said, the double parking, triple parking. Sometimes you have the linear parking, and along with all the traffic flows, persons going into the polyclinic, persons going into the other medical building, which is I think that's the Diabetic Association. You have the Red Cross in there. So it is a junction that needs proper order. But we are moving to have the post of transport inspector fill, and hopefully sometime during the new financial year you will see them back on the road doing the job that they're supposed to be doing.
Major road improvements are on the cards for the people of St. Thomas. Transport, Works and Water Resources Minister Cynthia Bradshaw gave the assurance today as MP for the parish, Cynthia Ford, made a strong appeal for better roads.
I am hurting to know that we have reached the stage where this morning, yesterday, Saturday, all kinds of calls coming in, letters are coming in again because the rain has now taken away all of that, the patching material and so on. Water is running on the road, and we have a serious problem in the parish. I drive there every day, sometimes 4 times a day. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would like to know what plans the Ministry of Public Works and Maintenance have for St. Thomas, so that I can at least bring an element of ease. There's too much expense with vehicles that are being destroyed. You can get to nowhere in the parish. That is one of the parishes that has about 8 to 10 places of interest where persons come on a daily basis. Welchmont Gully, Harrison's Cave, the Highland Outdoor Tours, Mount Hillaby. There's no road at all that can take people there with an element of safety, and the poor people are all marooned in there when there is heavy rain.
Minister Bradshaw said in the upcoming financial year, infrastructural works are scheduled to be done under the CAF Road Rehabilitation Program, and St. Thomas will be given some priority.
The following roads are due to be done under the CAF program and will be given the necessary priority. And this is the road from Shop Hill to Content, the area from Cane Garden to Bridgefield, the Canewood to Prout Junction, and Hangman Hill in St. Thomas as well. Now, I want to make the point that as it was stated earlier, in terms of the cost of these roads, it is quite significant. It's over $1 million in most cases. In some, it is 1.3. 1.5, and therefore it paints a picture of obviously the condition of the road given the level of expenditure that will now have to be laid out on the roads. The truth of the matter is that as the heavy rains come, St. Thomas, like a number of the other parishes in the countryside, are impacted even with all the best intentions from the depots. And so I think we will have to make these areas a priority.
Meanwhile, government spent $16.3 million on road repairs in the current financial year. Deputy Chief Technical Officer in the Ministry of Transport and Works, Philip Tudor, reported on the progress made.
Within the last year or two, we have had a substantial input of funding. For example, during this current financial year, we spent $16.3 million on the repairs of roads throughout the island. Of that 16.3, 52 community roads were done, which represents 39%. 52 community roads out of 135 community roads were done. The community roads were roads submitted by the 30 representatives, and most those community roads are roads in the residential and tenancy roads that were completed. So that's $16.3 million that was spent on those roads.
In today's COVID-19 update, the COVID-19 related death toll inched up by 1 as a 47-year-old man died from the virus on Sunday. He was unvaccinated. His death brings the number of casualties from the virus to 316. Meanwhile, the Besta Santos Public Health Laboratory confirmed 134 new cases on Sunday from 819 tests. Of the positive cases, there were 61 males and 73 females. The number of people in isolation facilities was 67, and 1,918 were in home isolation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Hi, my name is Christian Paul. I'm the country manager of BCIC here in Barbados. When the COVID vaccine first came out, I thought it was an interesting and a potentially successful way for us to navigate our way out of the pandemic and a return to some state of normalcy. I took the vaccine because I have a young family. I want to make sure that they are safe and protected. I have friends, extended family, and obviously I work here with colleagues, so I thought it was a good way to help protect them and to keep them safe, as well as myself. I would encourage others to take the vaccine because I know that you can still transmit the disease even if you're vaccinated, but the chances of being severely ill or worse, dying, are significantly reduced.
Let's roll up our sleeves and get back to living.
To regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, a 5-member panel will be established to investigate the tragic events that led to 5 divers, one of whom has since been rescued, being trapped in a pipeline offshore Pointe-a-Pierre last Friday. More on this report from TTT News.
An assessment into what led to 5 divers being trapped in a 30-inch pipeline just 1 mile offshore in Pointe-a-Pierre on Friday will be done soon. This is according to Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Stuart Young, who said the investigation will also determine what took place during the incident, a critique of the situation, and recommendations for future operations. Minister Young said the team will include a representative each from gas companies BP and Shell. These companies will also choose independent professional experts to complete the investigative team.
I've also identified that we need an expert professional diver who has had sufficient experience in these underwater dives to do with oil and gas installations. And then we'll leave space for another person with the expertise to fill that scoop.
Minister Young said the committee will include a lawyer to provide a legal perspective and may be chaired by one of the permanent secretaries at the ministry. On Friday, the country learned that 5 divers were trapped in a pipeline owned by Paria Trading Company Limited that contracted the divers from private company LMSC Limited. One of the divers, Christopher Boudram, was rescued. But Minister Young confirmed on Monday the other 4 divers, Faisal Kurban, Rishi Nagasa, Yusuf Henry, and Kazim Ali Jr., have not been located. At this time, the men are presumed dead. While efforts continue to find the men, Minister Young said the public should not be swayed by speculation as to the speed of the recovery operation or the equipment used to locate the men inside the crude oil pipeline.
On the international front, amid more reports of casualties in Ukraine, Ukrainians went out today to stock up on food, water, and other essential items as the tension intensifies.
People say, look, I don't know what day is it today. Is it Monday, Sunday? But I do know that this is day 5. This is the feeling. This is the new reality that people all over Ukraine are living. They are bracing for anything that's coming. They're trying to stay strong. Tonight has been very tough. I myself is now in the shelter, and we have been hearing sirens going off here every 5 to 10 minutes with the messages, warnings about possible air raids, and everybody is going to seek shelter. This is this afternoon. These intensified sirens started right after negotiations were over.
We understand that people did start to emerge from their homes a little today after a weekend under curfew. And of course, I have to wonder, how are they feeling? Can they get the supplies they need? I mean, just sketch out a picture of this new reality that they're facing.
Indeed, this morning there were very long queues to the supermarkets and the pharmacies when people finally left the shelter, left their houses trying to restock on food and water. The supermarket said that they're doing their best. Indeed, there are some products, something that is missing and not enough. Or, for example, it is not easy to find bread in supermarkets nowadays because many bakeries are not working, and those that have bakeries, the supermarkets with their own bakeries, they just cannot keep up with the demand because, of course, when people go out from their shelter today to restock on bread, food, water, medical supplies in the pharmacies were open. They're not just buying it for themselves, they're also buying it for everybody who stayed in the shelter. Many Ukrainians did not go out, they just designated somebody to go and pick up food and water, groups of men helping that out, so they were trying to restock because, again, look, when this curfew, the weekend curfew, was over this morning, we were announced at first that the new curfew, the regular one, is the one from 10 o'clock in the evening. This decision has changed. It will start earlier tomorrow, which means tomorrow during the day the decision might change as well. People are trying to get enough supplies because you never know when the new curfew will be introduced and when they will be out to go out again to the supermarket. They just try now to get what they need and to get what the people around them need, because many are still staying in shelters.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.